Guys, we're back on the account that pulled Senna, the Hell Hades free-to-play account. Haven't done a video, haven't been on this account for a good long while. Currently has a pilot, so you know, it's still making some progress and all that kind of stuff. But today, we are going to be pulling Ancient Shards for the 2x Ancient event that happened this weekend. Guys, over the course of saving, we have 10 Ancient Shards. We also have our Udex Artor ready to go. So I think we're going to pull that for CVC, which I think CVC is today, actually. That'll be awesome. And then we've got 7 fragments of our Embries, which is going to be cool. And we're already making progress on Lamassu, with 10 Lamassu fragments as well. Hey, you, stop right there. Click my link in the description below to get a free Corrado, as well as Fane, Ugo, and Vergus as you level up your account in Raid. Here's exactly how to do it. Log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Go to your inbox and claim your first champ. If you're looking for a great start in Raid, this is your chance. Make sure you get your free Corrado and 3 free epics by clicking my link right away. So, you know, this account is already super souped up with a Senna Amberheart. Like, this was a crazy pull. It's still a crazy pull, right? With the turn meter boost, whenever a continuous heal buff activates on any ally, fills the turn meters of all allies by 5%. Increase speed and 2 continuous heals on the A2 on a 3-turn cooldown, fully booked. And then Edge of Death revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. Then teams up with all allies revived by this skill to attack the enemy with the lowest HP. The allies joining the attack will use their default skills. It's an absolutely crazy account just because of the Senna, super high value. So we're gonna see if we can get another legendary champion, potentially Blade Chorister Caldor. I mean, that would be super cool, right? Blade Chorister Caldor is currently on the boost, so Caldor plus Senna would be absolutely awesome. Guys, this account has so much room to grow. It has so much potential. I think I know what I'm going to do when giving it away. Let's do 10 Ancient Shards, 10 single pulls. I want to see that sweet, sweet Lego gold. We've got a rare here, Lone Blade Ryab. Now, when you're this early, you want to look at the rare, see if there's anything you can use. Blade Mirage attacks one enemy 2 times. Each critical hit fills the turn meter, champion's turn meter by 5%. Attacks one enemy 2 times before attacking, places a 15% increased crit rate for 2 turns. First hit has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Second hit has a 50% chance of placing a 15% weakened debuff for 2 turns. It's not terrible. It's not great. Ruthless Assassin. Each hit from this champion deals an extra 5% damage if the target is under decreased defense or weakened debuffs. Not terrible. Deals an extra 10% damage if the target is under both decreased defense and weakened debuffs. It might be good if we end up pulling the Caldor, right? It is a Sylvan Watcher. Come on, give me the gold. No, we at least want some good epics. Raider is, it doesn't even matter what she does because she is a fusion rare. She has a stun and a decreased defense, which is kind of cool. And then she has a AoE small version decreased speed. Attacks one enemy, attacks 2 times if the target's HP percentage is higher than this champion's. There you go. She is a pretty squishy damage dealer. Speed, ally speed and faction grips by 13%. Not terrible, but she's a fusion, right, champion. So we're going to hang on to her for that. Come on, an epic at least. No. That's a Conqueror. Conqueror has a very simple kit. His A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. His A2, on a 2-turn cooldown, attacks one enemy, removes 2 random buffs from the target. And then his A3, Purge, attacks one enemy. Enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived. If that was an AoE, he might be a good rare. But as it is, not a fantastic rare at all. Come on, an epic. No, that is another rare. Ogren Jailer. I don't think he's good. 40% chance of removing 1 random buff from the target. Confiscate attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of stealing 2 random buffs from the target. Places an extra hit if any buff is stolen on a 3-turn cooldown. It's not terrible, right? Books up to what? 50, 60, 75% chance? Not terrible. And then his A3, Reprisal, attacks one enemy, damage increases by 20% if the target has no active buffs. It's not terrible, but he's not what we're looking for. We need at least an epic from these ancients. Oh my goodness, another rare. Oh, Greybeard. I like Greybeard. All right, so his A1, Exposed Weakness, attacks one enemy, has a 50, books actually to a 70% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. This guy we could maybe keep as our provoker for Hydra, right? Then his A2 here, attacks all enemies, has a 25% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Damage inflicted is proportional to defense. That does book up to a 30-40% chance on a 3-turn cooldown. It's not a bad skill at all for a rare. And then his A3, Bring It On, places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns, has an 80% chance of placing a counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns. The value of the shield is proportional to defense. This buff cannot be removed. So protected shield, and then he books to 100% chance of placing counterattack on himself on a 4-turn cooldown. Of course, his counterattack is going to be doing provoke, so you can build him slow for Hydra early on as a provoker. Not a bad champ at all. I quite like Greybeard. All right. We're going to be pulling another one. Give me the gold. No! Man, Rocktooth. Rocktooth can have some use early on. Grab attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if this attack is critical. Stomp attacks all enemies, places a 15% increased crit rate buff on all allies for 1 turn. So you can help you get that extra 15% crit rate if you're struggling to reach stats on a 3-turn cooldown. Isn't bad. Then Rabble attacks one enemy, places a 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. He can have some use in like Spirit Keep and whatever, and if you're struggling to get full crit rate, but he is not what this account needs with a Senna. Let's see what we, come on, an epic at least. No, that's another rare. Cataphract. I think Cataphract is also a fusion champ. His A1 Sure Strike attacks one enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff on the target for 1 turn. Fortify places a block debuffs buff and a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. It's not terrible on a 3-turn cooldown, but it would be better if it was an AoE. Helm Cleaver attacks one enemy, will ignore defense if the target has less than 50% HP. Damage increases according to this champion's max HP. He is HP based, so you know he's not a terrible champ at all, but he's really not what we're looking for on the weaker side of rares. We've got 3 left. Let's go. No, not even an epic. Hey, Gladiator. I like me some Gladiator. Attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 30% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns if the target's turn meter is more than or exactly 50% full. Has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns if the target's turn meter is less than 50% full. So either decrease attack or decrease speed, big versions of both on an A1. It does book to a, I believe that's a 50% chance, which is pretty darn good. Capital Punishment on a 4-turn cooldown, fully booked, attacks 2 times at random, has an 80, books to 100% chance of placing a stun debuff if the target's turn meter is above or equal to 75%. Not bad. And then Torture attacks all enemies on a 4-turn cooldown. Not bad at all. His cooldowns are a bit long, but he is not a bad champion at all from the Knights Revenant faction as a rare. All right, here we go. Man, another Cataphract. Last one, guys. Come on, give me that gold. Wow. 10 all rares. Wagon Bane attacks one enemy on the A1, has a 35% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. Books to a 50% chance. Hack Gore Magic on a 3-turn cooldown, when booked, attacks one enemy, places a 7.5% continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And then Start the Mayhem on a 4-turn cooldown, fully booked, attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance, books to a 100% chance, interestingly enough. I think. Yeah. Books to 100% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 75% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. It does say 60% decreased defense, but it has a 30% decreased defense, so I'm not sure which one it places. We will have to see. But guys, that is incredibly disappointing. 10 Ancient Shards and not even an epic on a 2x event. We'll pull the R-Tor for CVC. No need to do that now, but he will be incredibly good. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I have been Felris, sailing the seas of Raid Shadow Legends, and I will see you in another video.